Okay, what are you saying, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you are enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you head over to Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. The link to that is at the top of the chat and also in the description below. You can find your discount codes there for Elevating Traders challenges. And of course, you can join discussions, chat to other traders, including myself, about different trading opportunities and all of that good stuff as well. So if you're interested, make sure you go check it out. But guys, welcome back to another week of trading. Hope everyone is well. Good morning, Will. Welcome to the stream. Good morning, good morning. Hope you had a good weekend as well. So yeah, it's been interesting, especially starting the week out, because we did have some gaps in the market. We'll go through that in a minute, but I'm currently still sitting in my Euro USD position from last week, which is moving okay. We have seen a bit of upside, but overall the market is still kind of just testing that level, deciding if it's going to bounce or not. We are just about holding that level, which is where I went long from last week. So if I quickly zoom out to the higher time frames, we did come to a nice area of confluence, particularly on the weekly chart with this trend line, seeing those higher lows, first test, second, third. I'm looking for that fourth test, for that fourth bounce. Potentially, we could go very far if the market really wants to bounce from here, but I'm playing it a bit safe because Euro is just a very choppy pair at this point in time. So I'm not going to try and shoot for the moon here. But we have come back to a nice level on the daily chart as well, looking at that low there on the left. Solid support. We've come back to reject it. Really nice bullish engulfing on Friday as well. Is that Friday? No, Thursday. So yeah, looking for some upside there. Entered on the 4 hour. We broke out that descending channel that we're in for a while. And we have seen some nice momentum from that area. So I'm looking for that level to hold for us to go through a bit of a bullish trend. I'm looking to probably see if I can trail my stops as we push into that high, which is roughly around a 1-to-1 for me. So if I can get to break even there, that'd be great. And then I'll just see how far I can take it. But most likely, I may just close the trade back at this high here, around 1.09385, because, like I said, the market is a bit choppy in these conditions. It's not really a market which you want to hold for too long, especially when I'm trading right now. You can see what the market's been doing throughout the whole year. It's just not a market that's trending well at this moment in time. So when it does reach some resistance, key levels like that, I do need to be sure to be taking profit. And yeah, I'll be looking to manage the trade along the way, trading stops and whatnot. So we'll see how that one goes. Nice bullish close this morning, but yeah, still need price to really get going. Take out the high here, which we created last week just before the weekly candle closed. And that really will be what gets the trade going. In my eyes. But yeah, I'm liking Euro USD to the upside. And again, looking at the dollar quickly as well, I'm liking the dollar to the downside. We've hit some big levels, but I do think the dollar has a good possibility to see some downside. You can see this humongous move here to the upside. The market has been so bullish for about 2 or 3, maybe 4 weeks now. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. So we've been really pushing to the upside pretty aggressively, but we've hit a level, particularly on the weekly chart, where I do think seeing some retracement is pretty realistic here, and see some downside from 104.5. So yeah, I'm looking for some downside for dollar. Nothing crazy. I just anticipate retracement. It might just come back to the low of this weekly candlestick. That was last week's price action. We may just come back and test the low, and that could be enough to get my trade going on Euro. There's a lot of downside possibility for dollar if it really does want to fall, because you've got the major high over there, second one there, potentially price could be putting a third one in for another big drop to the downside. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but yeah, I'm not necessarily looking to capitalize on that, but we'll see how everything goes. All I can say though is we're trading a big level of resistance. 104.5 is a big level, was previously support here as well, and now flips to resistance. And it looks like we're seeing a bit of a double top there on the 4 hour chart as well. If I jump back to the 4 hour, it does look like the market is putting in now a double top there at that high. So that's a nice sign as well. But the buyers are struggling to break through that particular price, and the sellers are coming back strong. So if we can see that momentum continue, which is the key thing, I've drawn up this ascending channel here, connecting the highs and the lows. So really what I want to see for dollar is a strong break out of this channel. And hopefully that's what's going to take me to the downside. And of course, euro to the upside as well. But yeah, momentum's looked good. It's really nice candle closure. Double tops looking good at a big level for dollar as well. So anticipating some downside there. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, this channel is really what I'm wanting to see break. Hopefully we can get that early stages of next week and of this week, sorry. And then hopefully see some downside. So yeah, I'm looking for some downside for dollar. So obviously upside for euro. I think longer term, we could probably still see downside for the USD crosses in general, but I'm not going to go into too much detail with that. What's up, Brian? Good morning. Hope you're well. Excuse me. Afternoon. Okay, it's afternoon for you. Still morning for us, or for me anyway. Oil fake me out. Oh, did it? I haven't actually had a look at all since last week. I'll go take a look. What's up, Holy? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Hope everyone's doing good this Monday morning. So yeah, if I quickly go through pound USD. So yeah, pound USD, another one of those USD pairs, which I do think has a good chance to see some upside. Still got a breakout of this descending channel as well. Basically what the dollar has to do, but the inverse of that. But if we can see price break out this channel, I do think there is a lot of room for us to push into. Again, it probably just is for price to retrace and then put a lower high in somewhere and come right back down again. If I expand to the daily chart, you can see we have broken through some important structure here on the left, which is not a good sign for the buyers. You kind of want price to remain in this bullish structure if you're anticipating the trend to continue. But the fact that we have broken structure is a very critical thing for me anyway. So I would anticipate a bit more downside there for pound USD in the longer term. But because you already had a big drop, markets losing that momentum, I do think we're likely to see some upside in the short term here. And especially if dollar does break out that channel there too. So if you're looking for buys for pound, as I mentioned on my weekly analysis, I'd wait for price to break above this area here too. So if I drop back onto the 4 hour, if we could see something like this, a break of the channel and a break of that resistance, that would be magnificent. Then a high low somewhere, and some longs will make a lot of sense to me, because at that point we kind of broken all that resistance, and you'd expect momentum to continue there. So pound USD, I do think there's upside on the cards for this one, but the signal, the entry is just there, is not there yet. And equally, we could just reject this level and continue selling off as well. We could just continue with all of these lower highs, 1, 2, 3, see a fourth one over there, and continue that that decline there. So it's really important that we do break above that channel, break above that resistance, and then look for some pullbacks afterwards. Otherwise, yeah, the market will probably still stay in that bearish channel. So that's a real key thing to keep an eye for. Markets like dollar CAD, another dollar pair, which again trading at a big level. Since I'm already trading Euro USD, I'm not really eager to jump into any other dollar pairs apart from gold and silver until I can remove the risk on the euro position. But right now, with dollar CAD, we're trading at a massive level of resistance. So again, yes, market's still showing a lot of upside momentum and still pretty bullish, but we're trading at some big levels here, which I would be very careful about buying around, because at any point, really, we could see some really strong selling pressure kick back into the market, and we could be looking pretty bearish. But yeah, dollar CAD's still pretty bullish, hitting some big levels here, so I wouldn't be looking to take any buys anymore unless you're going for quick day trades, quick scalps. I wouldn't look to hold into a swing position at these prices. And we're still pretty corrective as well. We're still pretty corrective, so I do think price will eventually do something like that at some point. Yeah, of course, the DXY will play a big role in that, but I do think that's probably the likely move. And of course, CAD will have its say there too. But we'll see how everything gets going with the news this week. We've got NFP, I'm pretty sure, on Friday as well. I'll double check that. But yeah, dollar CAD trading at some massive levels of resistance. So I'm anticipating some downside there. The bias is bearish, but I wouldn't say it's ready to be shorted yet. I think if you're going to short now, it's always a little bit aggressive. You could catch the top, yes, but who's to say that we can't push up another 50, 100 pips before we do get that sell? So I'll be very careful of that with dollar CAD, but I am anticipating downside this week at some point. I'll keep an eye off the price, and And if some setups come along, I'll mention them. But right now, at least need to see some double tops or some lower highs coming into the market before I do, start talking about any sells there. Markets like Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar, they've seen a lot of downside as well. Again, not really looking promising in terms of opportunities, because especially for Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar as well, we broke through some key lows here, which is the areas I said buys look good next week. Unfortunately, didn't really see price hold on to that. So for me, I would be stepping back from the longs for Aussie dollar. I mean, I do expect them to still happen, but in terms of following a plan and buying from key areas, that's kind of gone out the window a little bit. So I would kind of just hold off a little bit with Aussie dollar. We may still want to break higher, but I'd wait for that to happen first before talking about the Aussie dollar longs. Same with pound USD as well, because we very well could push up into the high, reject it, form another lower high, and then drop to the downside there as well. So I would be watching out for that for Aussie dollar. That lower high is probably equally as likely to form as a big break to the upside. So we'll see what the dollar has in store for us. But yeah, in terms of the buys, not looking as great anymore unless we get a really big recovery. And same thing with NZD/USD as well. Really big move to the downside. This one's left that low long time ago. We broke through that support very well. So now I'll be looking at price coming back into the low here and probably some buys from that level, which are not too far away, to be honest. If dollar is very strong and then NZD is pretty weak, that probably could happen at some point this week, to be fair. But yeah, that's the only kind of meaningful level which I can see to buy NZD/USD from. And equally, Aussie dollar as well if we keep falling. So we'll go back to Aussie dollar. We've got some massive support down here. If this level doesn't hold or we don't recover it, then yeah, I won't be looking at buys until we get it back down to 0.64 for Aussie dollar as well. So pretty much the dollar pairs have still been pretty bearish, but I do think that's some turning points where we could see some upside for them, especially if dollar looks like it's really struggling at that high there too. So if that can continue, then hopefully we do see some upside for those USD pairs at some point this week. And of course, gold and silver, they're just doing their thing really, aren't they? Gold, last time I looked at it, was pretty bullish. Okay, struggling a little bit this morning. Interesting. Does that mean we're going to have a big sell, back down to some of these areas? Potentially, but that's really the only area which I'm looking to buy from. The price has been so kind of neat and tidy with gold in terms of it's just push, pull back, push, pull back. Now I'm just looking to find if I can get into that next pullback, find a trade, and hold that for the next swing. And where my focus lies is definitely this 2680 area, looking for a pullback, a high low there, and looking to see if we can take out the highs. You can see if I zoom out onto the daily chart, the bullish structure is so clear, evident to see. Looking to take any sells in these conditions is going to be very difficult with gold because it's just so bullish. And if you're looking to get involved, you want to, majority of the time you're looking for some buys. It's just the timing is the difficult bit. But yeah, with gold, looking for the retest of the high there at 2680. So if gold does want to sell this week, that's fantastic for me because I'll be waiting here for the buy. And then, yeah, I'll be looking to trail stops and seeing how far I can take that because there's a lot of room to the upside for gold if we are going to fly. And silver, last time I checked, is actually still a little bit bearish. Looks like it might be rolling over into it's still looking pretty bearish. So if you can see a bit more downside for silver, I'm looking around 32.8, 32.6 for some longs. We're not too far away from a buy here. So silver longs look pretty realistic in terms of actually forming. And then, yeah, I'll happily just trade silver because, yeah, there's no point of buying silver and gold because they do the same thing most likely. But yeah, last week, sorry, really confident break of that high there. Really confident break of that daily candle there on Friday. So now I'm just looking for price to pull back, find support, and get some buys in there. So yeah, very bullish on gold and silver. Looking for some buys in euro and expecting a little bit of retracement this week for dollar. That's kind of where I'm at with the USD world. We'll see what's going on with oil because Will, you said oil faked you out there. Last time I looked at oil was on Friday, because I don't trade oil. So we'll see what's going on there. What's up, Eric? You're in your USD buys. Same here as well. I was in buys from last week. Did you enter this morning? Dorcas. Okay, we'll have a look at the DAX as well. Let me have a quick look at oil, see what's going on over there. So, ooh, that is a gap. Wow. That is a big gap there. Okay, I see what you mean by the fake out then, because we finished Friday pretty bullish, and then yeah, price absolutely gaps the downside and is now looking very bearish. So that's unfortunate, really. That's unfortunate, I must say, because the trade, if you kind of ignore the gap and you just imagine price did push down, the trade worked out really well actually, because you're looking to short from 72, which is roughly this area here. You survived that first kind of fake out. I remember we were talking about that last week, because I think you got some shorts around here. Then price was a little bit bullish. It pushed up. It looked like the trade was going to fail, and then price quickly pushed back down again. Things were looking good. Price came back for another retest, and then decides to tank. And yeah, that's a shame, because the trade idea played out very well. It's just that one little up move kind of shook you out the trade to see price continue. And yeah, I think that just comes back to the way you want to manage your trades, because some people want to take trades, and then if they don't play out immediately or very quickly, they just exit the trade. Some people want to stay in there for the long run and just say, okay, my stop loss is my stop loss. I'll wait for it to be hit, or I'll wait for my target to be hit and just let the market do its thing. Or some people want to manage in a bit in between a little bit. Sometimes they hold, sometimes they exit early. It's up to you how you want to decide that. But in terms of the technicals, it played out pretty well. 72 was a pretty big level, which we highlighted in the past. Kind of that head and shoulder pattern, the left head and the right shoulder. Price held really well. And yeah, it looks like that head and shoulder pattern's in full swing right now. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the analysis, it played out well. So you got to pat yourself on the back for that. Yeah, maybe in terms of the trade management, maybe there's room for improvement, but you're not gonna make the right decision every single time. No one is. You just got to make sure you learn from it, record it, journal it, and record it, and make sure you learn from it in the future. But nice move. But yeah, that's a big gap, and that's the thing with oil. Sometimes you do get bigger gaps with some of these commodities compared to FX anyway. Although we did see some gaps in the FX pair this week, which we'll get to soon. But yeah, really big move there for oil. Took the position out because of the weekly candle. How did the weekly candle close? Okay, closed a little bit bullish. Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate, really. It is unfortunate. But that's what the weekend can give you sometimes. Big gaps. Sometimes they're for you, sometimes against you. Because on the other hand, it's a really nice move in your direction, but in some parallel universe, the gap could have been against you. And, if it's that big of a gap against you, that's going to go way past your stop loss, and it's going to fill you in a price way above that. And it's going to be a lot bigger of a loss instead of, what you planned. The loss could be 2 or 3 times more. So, it can go both ways. It's just this one went for you. Sometimes the gap can go against you, so you have to take that into consideration as well. But yeah, definitely unfortunate there. In terms of Euro USD, so you said you're in some buys from, excuse me. You said you're in some buys from 1.079. Whereabouts is that? 079. So that's roughly around here. So I'm guessing you entered this morning, probably if it dropped to the hourly chart. Maybe you entered around here somewhere. What's the plan for the trade, Eric? How far are you looking to take it? Do you have targets in mind, trading stops? Let me know, because I'm in a similar position, but I'm probably looking for a bigger move than you. But yeah, there's been some really nice momentum this morning, and especially the DXY with some bearish momentum as well. So if that can kick on and break out the channel, there's a lot of room for us to fall into for the dollar, and hopefully that'll take euro to the upside as well. So I'm liking that. I'm liking that. What's up, Lauder? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Okay, during pre-London. Okay, nice, nice. We'll take a look at the DAX as well for you. No problem. No way, Lordy, and the Euro train as well. Nice. Happy to have you on board. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I mean, again, the key thing we're looking at here is the dollar, because the dollar is at a place where it could retrace and see some downside from, and same with Euro as well, because they're both, very correlated with each other. It's looking good. They're lining up together. So if we can get the breakout of this channel here, I think that's when the green light is for Euro. We're going to see some really nice momentum, maybe for the next 2-3 days, probably, as the dollar retraces. Really big move here. And the Euro, of course, a really big move in the opposite direction. Hopefully we could look to retrace some of that as well. And my first kind of target around 1.085 is where I'm looking to remove risk and then just trail and see what price can give me. But yeah, I'm liking Euro USD longs. I'm liking dollar shorts, holding on to a really big level, as we've talked about previously. Big level support on the left, really nice ascending, really nice trend line there as well, providing those bounces for the higher lows. Come back into it a fourth time. I'm expecting to see a big bounce to the upside. So it ticks the boxes. Just need to see if dollar can actually get that move down and Euro can push up. But we'll take a look at the DAX now. Someone requested that before I forget. So yeah, with the DAX, everything is still pretty bullish for me. I'm still expecting more upside. What's up, Follow the Trend? What's up, Poppy? Welcome to the stream. Hope you guys are well. So yeah, the DAX is still pretty bullish for me. You can see the higher highs and the higher lows here, pretty clear for all to see. So predominantly, we're looking to take buys in these conditions here, especially if we're in to see that generally moves to the upside anyway. So yeah, looking for more upside with this one. It looks like we're going through a bit of a pullback now. So possibly there could be some nice buys intraday to ride some momentum higher. Last week I was talking about a break me test of this area. It didn't really play out there. If it dropped to the hourly chart, yeah, price didn't really hold that level in the retest. It broke straight through, but we are looking like we're creeping higher. Price action is a bit corrective, to be honest. Not the cleanest of price action. If I was looking to trade it, I'd probably just wait for a push back into the low here and try and avoid the noise there. If we could see another push back into 19,300, that would be great. And then look for a buy like that. I can get stop loss below the low down here and then look for the buy. It does look like we're slowly putting in higher lows, but I'm not quite sold on that because it's really corrective. We're really struggling to break through that high there as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we were to have another sell to the downside this afternoon or tomorrow. So yeah, with the DAX, I like it. I think there's a good chance we're able to push back into the high. Yeah, as I just said, looking at the higher time frames, the bullish structure is still very much at play. Still seeing really nice higher highs and higher lows. So I do expect us to push through, but in terms of a solid entry and a solid setup, yeah, I'd wait for us to push back into the low. At least I can get a safer entry there. Maybe have a bit of a fake out, use that to our advantage, and see another swing back into the high. But yeah, that's kind of why I'll be looking for the DAX. Overall, still pretty bullish across the board for the indices, really. I think we're just in a big bullish climate right now. Yeah, yen. Okay, yen pair gap filling. Yeah, we'll go through the yen pairs in a moment. For the trend, okay, we'll take a look at UJ as well. What's up, Catello? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Thinking about buying silver, but not enough to enter. What do you mean, not enough to enter? I'm looking to buy silver, really. I'm really liking silver. I'm really liking silver as well. It's actually not too far from a setup, so I actually have to keep one eye on it because I'm looking for a buy in the retest of the high there. And we could actually hit that. I mean, we could hit it today, to be honest, if we do see a bit of momentum. So I have to keep an eye on the ball there with silver. But I'm really liking silver, really confident trend, really impressive breakout last week, or was it the week before? It might have been. But yeah, really impressive breakouts. Now looking for the pullbacks and looking to take it back into the high and hopefully a lot further as well. There's just a lot of upside, a lot of room for us to run into. So if you're looking to swing a trade, silver's probably one of the best options on the market right now in terms of the upside. Let me go quickly take a look at UJ. So use the JPY, follow the trend. You said you're looking for buys around 152 retests. Okay. So you're looking for buys around 152. Let me drop to the 4-hour chart. So around here, you're looking for some buys. So, I mean, it looks like the market, because someone mentioned as well, it looks like the market is filling that gap there that we created this morning. So that's the gap we saw, well, not this morning, last night actually. Really big gap there. Looks like the market is going to fill that. So possibly there could be some buys. I'm always a little bit wary of buying the yen pairs at the moment because we're trading some big levels, particularly the weekly chart. I mean, I'm looking for a pretty big swing. I think you're probably looking at more of a day trade there. Let me know if you're not. So with me for dollar yen, I'm going to hold off a little bit and just wait for a bit more price action, a bit more information before I do cement a bias with them. Because as I highlight this level, it's a really big level of resistance. We could really turn around from this area. I know we just about closed above last week, but it's not enough for me to have a lot of confidence to say that, okay, that's a confident breakout. I'm expecting price to fly. It's not. It's just a slight close. So I would be too surprised if this week was to come right back down again. So I'm not going to put a bias out just yet, at least for myself from a swing point of view. I think if you're looking for some short-term day trades, buys do look good because the market has been so bullish. So it's just been, riding those pullbacks to the upside. And as we come back into that same area again, it could be another reaction for another push up. Maybe tomorrow or the day after. So that could be a nice little trade there. It really depends how we react and how we see the next higher low. But I wouldn't be looking for anything crazy. That's the main point I want to drill home with the yen pairs. We're trading at some big levels where we could be looking at price turning around or maybe really continuing. So until that becomes clear on the higher time frames, I wouldn't look to hold trades for too long, at least to the upside anyway. Yes, there's still a lot of momentum to the upside, but we're at an area where we could very much turn around. So yeah, I think as we come back into the 152 area, it's a nice place for a pullback, probably pushing close to that 0.786 area, 0.618 as well. So it's a healthy pullback for dollar yen where we could see some upside. But number one, I'll see how price reacts, see how the candlesticks are looking. And number two, I wouldn't be looking to take it too far. I think maximum back to the high, but I would also consider, this high here is a nice place for at least a partial or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of what I'd be looking at for dollar yen anyway. Okay, tempted, only tempted. Yeah, I really like silver. So if it does set up, I'm keeping a close eye on it. Okay, look for a dangerous, risky scalp. Okay. Lockdown, what's up? Good morning. Hope you're well. On euro pound. Oh, wait, are you talking about pounds? Are you talking about euro pound or pound USD and euro USD short? I think, but if you are going to take a riskier trade, I think, and it's a riskier trade, what's up, Karis? Welcome to the stream. Then you can always lower the risk, because there's either two options really with you if you're going to take a riskier trade than usual. It's either don't take the trade or reduce the risk, because it's a riskier trade and you've highlighted it as such. So yeah, whatever the way, I think reducing the risk or we can take it in a different account is the way forward if it's a bit risky. But if it does take the rules and fits the plan, go for it. But if it's a bit riskier, some things are missing, maybe you can always reduce the risk if that's the case. But yeah, particularly with the weekly chart with dollar yen and some other yen pairs as well, the candlestick closure can be very important, dictate what we could do next week, but it really does matter where we are situated, because this is a really strong candle here in the weekly chart, really strong candle, a lot of momentum, minimal upper wick there, a little bit of a pullback, but minimal. So typically when we see these candles on the weekly chart, there's a good chance that the following week will continue that momentum to an extent. It might not necessarily be a big bullish candle as well, but at least it will give us some push to the upside. You can see with previous big candles here on the left, big candle there, next week drop, big candle here as well, next week did drop. Of course, it didn't close bearish, actually closed slightly bullish there, but at least we had this move here to the downside here as well. So you can use candlesticks on the weekly chart as really nice indicators, same in the monthly as well, as really nice indicators what the market is likely to do the following week. And with this candle here, it's bullish, very strong minimal upper wick. So there's a good chance that the next week will be giving us some upside. It may just be a wick or something, but there's a good chance there'll be some upside. But because of where we're situated, I would be a little bit more skeptical and wait for some more development there. And it's the same with some other yen pairs as well. If I go to euro yen, that was trading at a pretty big level of resistance as well. Weekly kind of wasn't so convincing as dollar yen. Did see some nice upside, but again, closing in a major area of resistance. So I wouldn't be so confident to follow that momentum for the next week, at least from a swing point of view anyway, because we could easily see another bearish kind of come straight back down, and things are looking very different going into the following week. So when you're looking at your weekly candlesticks, be aware of where we're trading, because yes, they can be very helpful in terms of what we're doing the next week, but you want to know where we're situated. And if we're situated away from major resistance, then you can use it to your advantage. If not, then it can be a little bit 50-50, which doesn't really provide us with too help, because we're either breaking through or we are going to reject the level, and we haven't really got the information yet, at least in the weekly chart as well. I'm pretty sure CAD yen is doing something similar. Well, this one actually did leave a big wick as well. And that's another point with the weekly candlesticks. Keep an eye on the wicks as well, particularly if we're trading at levels of support and resistance, or just any areas of confluence, really. It doesn't have to be support resistance. It can be supply, demand. It can be a moving average. It can be a trend line, Fibonacci. It can be whatever kind of confluence you're looking at. Keep an eye on the wicks, especially in those areas of confluence, because they can be really nice indicators that, okay, the market is finding resistance, or failing to continue higher or failing to continue lower, and it can look to turn around, particularly with CAD yen as well. Big wick there to the upside. Yes, we did see some nice momentum, but it's left probably about 40% size of the candlestick wick of that candle, which is not really a good sign either. And I wouldn't be too surprised if this candle was to push back down and close pretty bearish this week, which will be an indication that next week we could see a lot of downside. So when you are looking at your weekly candles, keep a close eye of where we're trading. Like, for example, Euro USD, which I'm currently long at the moment, we did see a bit of a wick there. If I can remove the drawings, we did see a bit of a wick there, but particularly it's come into a nice trend line as well. So there's a good chance we could bounce this week and see some upside from that. And you can see there as well, really big wicks at the top there. Nice indication that the market's struggling. And of course, we saw that a lot in the daily chart too. A lot of wicks there as well. So keep an eye on the wicks when you're looking at the high time frame candlesticks. But if we go through some yen pairs, because I know a lot of people are looking at them, let's start with CHF JPY, because I like CHF JPY. Oh, wrong place to enter it. I like CHF JPY because it had a lot of momentum last week, and it had a really nice candlestick closure as well on the weekly chart. So it gave me confidence that we're likely to continue pushing. You can see the weekly candle there. This one, not really closing into major resistance. Of course, it's not going to be perfect, but we've kind of broken through this area here. So I'm a lot more confident that CHF JPY has got room to the upside, possibly back into the swing high up here, if we can find some pullbacks at some point. And that's kind of what I'm eyeing up this week, some pullbacks, a retest. And then, yeah, a pushback to 180 is where we're likely to head up next. If I was to drop back to the 4-hour chart, because I did highlight a nice setup this week, and I was talking about on my weekly analysis, but I still like this area here for a buy. It does look like we've just about taken the highs up there. but I'm still going to look for a retest of this area since it was a strong break, no prior retest. So I do like that place for a buy around 174 and kind of just seeing a continuation of these higher lows. So that's still very much a setup I'm interested in with CHF JPY. And again, in terms of targets, keeping it reasonable back to the high looks good, but there is that possibility for us to push all the way back into 180 as well. But really, with the yen pairs, everything has been pretty bullish. But we're trading at some areas we need to be careful at. CHF JPY I like because we're not testing a big level. But for example, Euro yen, as we just mentioned, testing a really big level. So I'm not going to be so bullish with this one. We're actually selling a little bit hard here with the yen pairs right now. Is anyone trading any yen pairs at the moment? Yeah, we're selling off pretty hard this hourly candle. Have a brief look at some other yen pairs. Yeah, it's the exact same across the board. CAD JPY. Yep, Aussie yen. So yeah, it's definitely yen. So yeah, interesting. And some yen pairs look a lot better than the others, but let me go back to Euro yen and do my analysis there. But yeah, with the yen pairs, I don't really have, apart from CHF JPY, because that one had a nice momentum and broke through some nice structure. But with the other yen pairs, I'm kind of just on the fence this week. I'm waiting for a little bit more information before I do put forward a bias and start looking for opportunities again. Because as I suggested, really big level of resistance here. It does look like price is trying to break through, but it's not convincing. So I need price to either give me a nice candle closure this week above, or pull back down below and give me a nice kind of stick below. And then, yeah, that will invite me to some shorts. I'll be looking at a big swing trade back into the lows down here around 156 and then potentially 154, maybe even a break of that area. But I would be looking at a big swing like that for the yen pairs if we do break underneath. But yes, on the lower time frames, we've seen some nice pullbacks, some nice upside as well, and possibly we're coming back down for another retest for another higher low. But I wouldn't be too greedy. I wouldn't be too aggressive with targets with this one. I think if you can get a push back to high, that's a great trade. Yes, there is a possibility that price could continue a lot higher, but I wouldn't be so convinced. So I think if you're on an intraday level, 4-hour hourly chart, I think Euro yen still looks good for a buy. And as we push back into the higher low, back to the high, I think that still looks good. I just wouldn't look for much more than that. If you go take a look at CAD yen, it's another yen pair talked about on the weekly analysis too. This one really had a nice, I mean, they're all kind of really pushed to the upside, but I was talking about this level here for a retest. That would be nice if price can pull back into that area, respect it, and the push back into the high. I think, again, that's a nice little day trade / intra-week trade, really. And you can call it a day there because if I zoom out onto CAD yen as well, we're trading at major resistance where the market can really, really sell off from. So I think if you're just going to follow the momentum from the past couple of weeks, that's good, but don't be looking for too much because at any point, really, the yen pairs could go through some big sell-offs, and that would scare me. But yeah, intraday we have seen some nice upside, so there is room for us to push into. What's up, Gareth? We'll take a look at the S&P as well. Okay, both euro and pound short versus the dollar. Okay. Meets my rules. Okay, let's see. Yeah, if it meets the rules, then go for it. If you identify it being a slightly more risky trade, then of course you can reduce the risk. But if it meets the rules, then I would go for it. Okay, you posted CHFJY on Discord. Yeah, I'm liking CHFJY as well. Are you looking for price to pull back into a 50 holy one or like close back above the 50 or something like that? What's up, Godfrey? Welcome to the stream. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're well. Okay, yeah, normally feel the same day. Yeah, that's typical within FX as well. We do normally go fill within the same day as well. Okay, we'll go through oil and 40 at some point as well. But yeah, in terms of the yen pairs, we've had some gaps, but it does look like the market is just about to go and fill pretty much all of them right now. So CAD yen will set off pretty hard. It's almost there in terms of filling the gap. If we take a look at GJ, I bet that one's pretty close to filling the gap as well. Yeah, I mean, coming to the middle of it now. Still got a bit of a way to go, to be honest, but not too far off. Aussie yen, not far off as well, and New Zealand yen, I'd imagine, not too far off either. Yeah. So yes, particularly with New Zealand yen and Aussie yen, these ones are a little bit difficult to trade, I would say, because for the past maybe three weeks or maybe 4 weeks, maybe even longer than that, we've just been trading at a range here. This is New Zealand yen. We've been trading at a range here, and it's been difficult to trade unless you're just going to short high and buy low in terms of the ranges. Anything else has just been a little bit difficult to trade because there's been no direction of the market. We've been respecting the high there very well, which is great, but it's not like the market's sold off. We just keep banging our heads on the same level and then come back there again, bang our head and come back there. So really what I'm been waiting for New Zealand yen and Aussie yen as well, which we'll get to in a moment, is big breakouts of these highs or big breaks to the downside of that low. And then we could be looking at some nice momentum, hopefully a push back into the lows down here at 85.5. And if we do break to the upside, looking at some of these areas, that high there, that high over there, we've got the lows over there as well. So there's targets either way. It's just waiting for price to tell us which way it wants to go, and then we can follow. Yes, we're doing a good job of holding resistance, and I would expect us to break lower, but I'll wait for the break to happen first and then follow it. So yeah, with New Zealand yen, as long as we stay within that range, I'm not really interested. Sure, if you're looking to trade the range, it's not a bad pair for it. Shorting every time we push to the high, it's a good way of looking at it. Equally the same with the lows there, buying every time we get to the low. But if you're looking for some big swings, you really want price to break that resistance or break the support, and then look for some pullbacks on the after the breakouts. And either which way, we've got opportunities and we've got targets to aim for. Same thing with Aussie yen. If I go take a look at Aussie yen, again, kind of like consolidation as well. Mainly equal highs there, equal lows. Price has been dancing around. I do think there's room for us to push back down into, but I'm going to wait for price to give us that break first, and then I'll look to follow. Yeah, because trading in that range just looks a little bit too hectic for me. We do have the higher lows here as well. Maybe if we can break through that, that would be the start of possibly a big move, but I'm going to wait for us to break the support first, and then I'll look for the short opportunities afterwards. So yeah, with the yen pairs, I do think there's still that big possibility for a big sell. I just need a little bit more confirmation this time before looking to short, and then I'll see what we can get. But yeah, looking at pound yen as well, sure, it's been pretty bullish. It's been moving pretty well. I do think there's a bit of a dip for this one. After creating new highs, there might be some short-term buys at play, but again, I wouldn't be too greedy with them. If we can get a push back to the high, that would be good. And then I'll watch out for some sells because we could really fall from there. But I think at the moment, the yen pairs are likely just going to fill the gaps at the moment. And there could be some buys after that the gap is filled. So if I drop to the hourly chart for pound yen, as we fill the gap back into 197.5, which is this kind of area here, there might be a little bounce there. So some short-term trades could look good. Maybe back into some highs around there and call it a day. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's more than enough pips there to catch. Still looking at about 100 pip move there back into that area. So there could be some nice buys after the gaps are filled. I'm just kind of contemplating how far will they go. I'm not quite sold on the trend just yet, at least in the higher time frames anyway. What's up, Annie? Oil to the upside. Okay. That's true. There's a big gap. Price may try and fill that. That's true. It does look like a lot of markets trying to fill some gaps at the moment. Yeah, I'll go take a look at oil, and we'll go through S&P as well. Yeah, with oil, we spoke about this briefly, but yeah, oil's been pretty bearish, and that has left behind a really, really big gap, which price could look to turn around and go and fill. Would I look for that buy now? Not just yet. There is a pretty big level underneath us here on the weekly chart, which is this level support here, around 66, I'll call it. That's where the big level support lies. I think if you're looking to buy from there, it does look good because you got a massive level support to your backs and you can base a nice trade from that and look for price to reverse. But where we're trading now, yes, there is some minor support here on the left, but I wouldn't say it's significant, at least compared to the level just below us. So I would wait for us to drop a little bit low before starting to look for some buys. So around 66, 65 is where I'd start to look for some buys. And then maybe a nice little double bottom, break of structure, can look for some longs there, possibly to go and fill that gap. Because, 80% of the time, 90% of the time, gaps do fill. So there's a good chance we are going to eventually fill that gap at some point. But I'm not quite sold on the buyers just yet. I'd at least wait for us to push back into major support first, and then we can discuss some buys from there. But yeah, I think there's a good chance we do fill the gap, and I do like the idea with that gap fill there, but I'll wait for us to hit some major support first before getting involved with some longs, because I do think there's still a little bit more downside in store for oil first. Yeah, as we've been pretty consistent for all these major lower highs, 2, 3. So I do expect us to make a push back into the low. Then yes, we can speak about some buys from then on. But at the moment, not quite seeing the buys just yet, or I would say the buys are ready just yet. In terms of the S&P, we have been pretty bullish with the S&P, and I'm still looking for us to go and take out the highs and create some new ones. It looked like we had a nice little retest on that high there, lovely support, price retested it, and now we're looking bullish again. So again, in these conditions, you don't really want to do much other than look to buy. Especially for a market like S&P, which just moves to the upside overall. There's no need to overcomplicate it. Coming back into really nice resistance, really nice retest of support, and since then we've been pushing to the upside. Getting into the market now becomes a little bit tricky because now we're kind of coming back into a little bit of noise, a little bit of chaos. At least down here, you've got a solid support to base a trade from, a nice place for a stop loss, and the risk reward looks a lot better as well. If you start to look to execute some buys in this area, not that you can't get a successful trade, it's just that it becomes a lot difficult. You're away from major support. Your stop loss is going to be a bit more vulnerable wherever you put it in here, and you're kind of exposed to a bit more noise, a bit more indecisiveness where price could wick around and be affected by news, and it's just a messy place to be in. So I would say the trade has kind of left the station. The train's left the station really. Unless we were to come back down and retest support again, that would be great. Find some more entries there to take it back up. I think entering now, the train's kind of left the station a little bit. Yeah, maybe if we were to come back into support around here, you can probably base a trade around there on the lower time frames, like say like the 15-minute, put a stop loss underneath the low. So something like that could look good. But really that was the better place in the retest of the high. But if you are eager to get a trade, I would say around here would make sense, which is 58.10. But yeah, in terms of direction, looking for push back to the highs and some new highs to follow shortly. Okay, we'll go through euro dollar as well. So yeah, in terms of euro dollar, like I said, I'm currently long on that one, so I'm looking for some upside. I entered last week, price to push back down. I said if momentum doesn't really sustain, I might close the trade early. But this morning, momentum did sustain. In fact, it's looking pretty bullish there. So I'm looking for a lot of upside here for Euro USD. As I spoke previously, we've come into a really nice area of confluence, which is testing that prior low on the left, coming into that lovely trend line there on the daily. 1, 2, 3, fourth test there. So I'm looking for a bit of a swing to the upside now for euro dollar. And again, I'm not looking for anything crazy. If we can get pushed back into 1.09300, I'll call it a day there probably, because the conditions are very choppy. It's not conditions where you want to sit on a trade and just hold. There's a good chance price will find resistance and turn against me. So I will be trading, but nothing crazy here. And my first target for the trade is this level here, where I would just kind of look to remove risk and start trading. But yeah, in terms of direction, I'm favoring upside. We're broken out of this descending channel now, and we're holding on to support pretty well. It looks like dollar's about to fall as well. So Euro USD, I do anticipate some upside. If I do touch on dollar quickly, you can see really nice double top there, create the higher ones, came back to test it this morning. Strong rejection there, really nice bearish engulfing candle. So if dollar can break out this ascending channel to the downside, nice little break, hopefully this afternoon maybe, or tomorrow. It's Monday, so you might wait for tomorrow to do it. And then we start seeing some lower highs. That's fantastic. And then at that point, we're probably going to see dollar take a bit of a dive, because we've been so bullish for the past 4 weeks now. So I do expect to see some type of correction, some type of retracement. And if I do expand to the weekly chart, you can see the level which we're trading at, which is this massive level of resistance. I've taken it across there and looking at that as resistance there again. We do have lower highs, 1, 2. Who's to say this can't be the third one? And probably see some downside from there too. So I'm not necessarily expecting dollar to completely collapse to the downside, but I do think we're at a natural area where it makes sense to see some retracement. Hence why I'm taking some buys on euro there to take advantage of that. So that's kind of the plan with dollar at the moment. And it looks likely that we're going to see some retracement. So that's kind of where I'm at. And lockdown, you said you're going to take some scalps. So I think that's reasonable, because dollar is coming back into that low end of the channel. So we're in an area where we could bounce and see some upside there. I spoke a lot about pound USD, about that channel there as well. And it does make sense there for us to see some downside from the top end of the channel. I would just be pretty careful, because we're being very corrected now for pound USD in this corrective channel for a while. And the thing about descending channels, which are pretty corrective like this one, is that they don't tend to last for too long before seeing a pretty big break to the upside. These channels are more of an indication that the market is tired and is getting ready for an up move. Now, that up move might just be a retracement for the market to continue falling, but an up move is pretty likely at some point. So with pound USD shorts, I think they look good. If you're looking for a scalp, we're coming back into an area where you could form a lower high. I just wouldn't be looking for anything too crazy. Something like that, back into the low there, maybe the low there if you're lucky, and then maybe call it a day, because I would expect us to push right back up again. So that will probably just get rid of all your profits. So yeah, I think you're in a nice area for shorts there on pound USD, but yeah, I wouldn't push it too far there. So that would be my one thing I would look at. But yeah, I know a lot of people looking at the USD pairs, and right, so I think there's some nice opportunities there, particularly gold and silver as well. So I mean, if gold retraces this week, that's fantastic. I don't think it's going to retrace all the way to my level there. So I think it's a bit optimistic, but silver's right there. So that's really where my focus is right now. And I don't mind getting into silver and Euro USD at the same time. I know they're both dollar related, and dollar news will affect them, especially NFP on Friday. So that is a slight risk there, but silver and gold have been a little bit just like, they don't care what dollar is doing. Dollar's been very strong for the past 4 weeks, but so is gold and silver. So there's a bit loss of relation there. So I don't mind getting to silver as well. But yeah, in terms of the technicals, they look really good. Healthy break to the upside past couple of weeks. Now I'm looking for something like that for silver. So that's really what I'm looking at in terms of the USD pairs. As I said, in terms of the yen pairs, CHF JPY looks the best to me. So if CHF JPY can give me a pullback back into 174, I will be looking for some opportunities there for some longs, and hopefully we can take it back into the high there, 176.5. And then maybe if we're lucky, all the way back to 180 up there as well, which if I go to the daily chart, is the price swing high. Because this was our price swing low. We held on to it. We did have a bit of a fake out there, but the market has rocketed to the upside since that. So that to me just looks like a big fake. And now we're looking really bullish again. So the likelihood of us suddenly selling off completely is a lot less than us probably just continue this move back to the high. So that's why I'm looking at longs and looking to take us back to 180, and then we'll go from there. But the other yen pairs, I'm going to wait for a bit more development from them, especially in the high time frames like Aussie yen. This one needs to give me a breakout first before I decide my bias, either up or down. If I look at New Zealand yen as well, that one needs to break out before I decide my bias as well, either up or to the downside. But at the moment, not really clear. And same thing with like Euro yen as well. Trading at really pivotal resistance. Are we breaking out, or are we, are we going to have a big rejection? And then when that's cleared, there's some nice opportunities for us. If we're going to sell off, looking for a push back into that low. If we are going to see a lot of upside, looking for a push back into the high there, around 167,900 there as well. So that's kind of where I'm focused at with the yen pairs. But we'll take a look at some of the pairs you guys are looking at. So we'll go through Euro NZD as well. No problem, Gareth. Happy to help out. If I have missed out a pair that someone has mentioned and wants me to take a look at, just drop it down in the chat and we will get to it. But let me know, the elf, what you're looking at with Euro NZD. Yeah, I haven't really been a big fan of the crosses as of late, to be honest. It's just been a little bit choppy. You see the box I've drawn around USD's price action there. That's the big reason why I haven't really been looking to trade it. Pound NZD does look good, and I'll get onto that at one point during the stream because that is a pair on my watch list this week. Pound NZD, really nice breakout on Friday. So I'm looking to follow that higher. Euro NZD closely related to Pound NZD, but just nowhere near in terms of the quality of the setup, the quality of the price action. It's just a lot more flat, so I'm not really looking to trade it. But it does look like we're trying to break higher. It looks like price is trying to get above resistance here. Maybe you see a swing back into the higher end of the range. That could be the play. What I would want to see is more confident momentum to the upside here, because I wouldn't be too surprised if it were to come back inside the range and things just get awkward again, and that just becomes a very choppy market and not a market which I want to trade. But if we can see price continue the momentum and push up higher, sure, I would be looking at pullbacks there to the upside. Something like that would look good to me. 1.80751, a retest of that high. I mean, pound NZD looks a lot better, and I'll get to the reason why. But something like that could look a lot better to ride that back to the high of the range, because at that point, momentum's clear. We broke for key resistance, and that becomes our next significant level. But if we have a quick look at pound NZD, as to why I like this one a lot better is because, number one, we've got clear identity of the trend here with the consistent higher lows here. So, that is kind of undisputed, and the market is now breaking major resistance here on the left as well. So there's a pretty high chance that we're going to push back into the next swing high, which is the high here at 2.1819. So because the pound NZD was seeing momentum, it's not the cleanest trend in the world, but it's definitely a market that is pushing higher. Whereas Euro NZD, which we looked at, is definitely a market that is overall flat. I know we've been moving up in the past few days, but overall been pretty flat. So that's why I like pound NZD more, even though they're very similar markets. So with pound NZD, that strong break there, if we can see some pullbacks this week for another higher low, retest that area, that looks really good to me. And yeah, looking for a push back into the high at 2.19. So pound NZD, surprisingly, is a pair on my watch list. Actually, haven't really had many cross pairs on my watch list for the past few weeks now, but because of that confident break, I can't ignore that. And I would be expecting pound NZD to push a lot higher now, and hopefully take out the highs there too. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, overall, Euro NZD, I do like the buys. Just need a little bit more momentum to the upside to confirm that, and yeah, you can start looking at some pullbacks to take that higher. But not a big fan of the pullbacks there. I mean, of the price action. Appreciate that, Lauder. If you guys have been enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like on the channel. It does really help out. And make sure you subscribe and hit the like button as well, so you don't miss out any streams or uploads in the future. They do really help out. But yeah, I wanted to speak about trend lines as well, because trend lines is something that I've always looked at, I've always used, and I've always used in my trading. But support resistance, that is the main thing, the non-negotiable. Trend lines, not every setup I take has a trend line confluence, but I am a big fan of trend lines as well, because they do provide a different type of confidence to the market. A bit more subjective than support resistance, and that's kind of why not a lot of people like trend lines or use them that much, because you can draw trend lines differently. You can draw the same trend line differently as well. Do you draw it from the wicks? Do you draw it from the bodies? I mean, you can probably discuss that in a similar fashion with support resistance. But the way I look at trend lines is I kind of draw them as an average. So, for example, let me go to a different broker, because I would have my drawings there. So, for example, like Euro USD here, I would always start with the wick of a trend line of the first point. I always start with the wick, but then I would always draw as an average. So I wouldn't just fix the trend line with the wicks or with the bodies. I would always just use it as an average of the points that we're using. That way, it kind of encompasses the support level, the resistance level a little bit better, because it's kind of give me an area where the market is averaging out as a holding support. I always start with the wick, though. I always start with the wick of the first point. And then I use the average of between the wicks and the bodies for the next points afterwards. And you can see with this one as well, we've had a nice little wick through the trend line there as well. And this is where I've gone long to anticipate some upside there as well. So trend lines are really good in terms of adding a different layer of confidence to your trade, because support resistance, really solid. Everyone can look at resistance with the clear eye, clear level resistance up there where the market rejected. You can spot that mile away. But trend line, you have to focus a little bit more. Some trend lines are definitely obvious as well. Some are less obvious. I think they do add a lot of confidence to the trade, and they also look at the proportionality of a market as well. Trend lines make you feel like a genius when it works out. Reverse horizontal rate, yeah, me too. I mean, I think if I had to choose one between support resistance and trend lines, I would choose support resistance. All day, every single day, but we don't have to. We can use trend lines as well, which is the beneficial things. There's no rule where you just have to use support resistance the whole time. I think support resistance are very crucial, but you can always layer that with other confluences, Fibonacci, trend lines, supply and demand, or whatever you're looking to add to your game as well. Trend lines are a great way to look at it, and it also allows you to visualize how proportional the market is. For example, with let's say ascending channels, if the market is at this slope and making higher highs and higher lows, the market is very, very bullish, and the pullbacks are pretty minimal, and we're seeing the market give us minimal pullbacks with big bullish legs. If the angle of the slope is like this, that means the market is a bit more corrective, and there's a high chance that this channel is eventually going to break to the downside at some point, because this isn't really sustainable price action with an ascending channel. This price action is a lot less sustainable when the market is a lot tired and getting ready to fall over. A market like this is very, very bullish and likely to keep pushing. Of course, at some point it's gonna hit a high and fall, but in terms of the next couple of bullish legs, you expect it to keep pushing. Whereas this one, it's a matter of time. We might see one more swing, great, but I wouldn't be surprised if the next swing is the one that's going to break and take us to the downside. So corrective channels like this are always something to keep an eye on. We've seen a lot of them with the USD pairs as of late. But looking at the slope of the trend line as well gives you indication of how bullish the market is. And then when the trend line does eventually break as well, it can also give you targets as where you expect the market to push into. So for example, if this trend line breaks here, this is the low I'm expecting the market to get into. Always the origin of the trend line. All right, take care, Lauda. Have a good one. Hopefully see you on the stream tomorrow. All right, Kerry, have a good one. We'll see you on the stream tomorrow, hopefully. Take care, guys. But yeah, with the trend line here, for example, any trend line break, I'm always looking for price to come back into the original swing point. So the first swing point, which we create from, is always the one I'm looking for price to come back into. So if the market is trending like so to the upside, and we're seeing some really nice higher highs and higher lows, if this is going to break, this is the area I expect us to eventually come into. So if you're looking to take advantage of trend line breaks as well, and you do see a confident break and price really break through this area, this is where you're kind of targeting. You don't have the target there always, but you can look at some previous lows there too, but that's where you do expect price to eventually end up at. So either which way, if you're looking for a trend line bounce or you're looking for a trend line break, there's ways to trade it both ways. And I think just adding trend lines to your analysis is a good way of just visualizing the chart a little bit better. Like I say, they're not make or break. They're not the be all end all. They're not going to solve all your trading problems, but they do allow you to kind of visualize the market a little bit differently, because support resistance is great and it's the most important thing for me anyway. But looking at the diagonal support resistance also adds a layer of analysis to your game where you can visualize things a little bit better. And for example, if you look at CHF JPY as well, which is another opportunity I'm looking at, we've got a nice little trend line there as well, a lot steeper than Euro USD. Euro USD trend line, which we looked at, is very kind of not flat, but the angle of the trend line is not that big. Whereas this one is a lot more bullish. You can see the higher highs and higher lows there. They're a lot steeper, and the market is seeing a little bit bigger of a bullish leg. So this is a trend which is a lot stronger and seeing a lot more momentum. So if we can get a push back into this area here, of course, I'm still looking for the retest of the high, and that's the key thing I'm looking out. But I know it's roughly in the area of that trend line there as well. So if you can hold on to that, that'd be great. And if it was to break, then there's a good chance price is going to start taking off these lows and probably eventually push all the way back down to that low there as well, as we see another major low there too. But adding that trend line there lets me know that there's a good chance that we are likely going to bounce from this area. And if you do go and break through the trend line, that's the first sign I'm looking at that, okay, the market's running out of steam and maybe the market's going to have a bigger retracement or maybe reverse. Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to look back and see how they played out. And again, with trend lines as well, it's always good to just, and we don't have to look to use them, full out in your trading immediately, but you can always start with them and then see how they go. Not really finding much use with them, not really working well, you can always discard it. And if they are working well, then that's obviously going to benefit to you. But even with power and NZE, that's had a really nice trend line there as well. Seeing the higher lows there too. Again, not the strongest bullish trend in the world, but really nice higher highs and higher lows as the market's been pushing higher there too. So I'm liking the market structure there. Oh, I just clicked my finger there really loud. Seems like gold and silver is going to be planned for now. So is that looking for long opportunities there, Will? Looking to take some pullbacks on those. I think that's the best way to look at it. Same way with me as well. Well, mainly silver, because I don't think gold's going to be generous enough to give me the pullback I'm after. This is a different broker. Which broker that I normally look at? Is it Oanda? Yeah, I wonder. But yeah, this is the setup I'm looking at for gold. Okay, yeah, 26, same as me, 2680, but I'm like, yeah, that's the only issue with gold. The pullback to 2680 might be unlikely for price to actually see that move. But if it does get there, looks like a great opportunity. And again, as a trader, um, you're looking for quality over quantity. You know, gold is likely to push up, but it doesn't mean you have to just find a trade and just shove a buy entry in the market. You still have to wait for the market to come to you. And if you've identified a solid level or a solid setup, you know, you're waiting for that setup to form. If it does form, great. If it doesn't form, all well. There's always another setup around the corner. But To me, I'm really liking the setup here around 2680, solid retest of the high, really confident break of the structure as well. So if we were to come back and revisit, find support there, I think there's a good chance we're going to bounce and see some upside and push it right back to the high there as well. So yeah, I really like gold. Silver is a lot more likely to form, which is just the reason why I'm more interested in silver right now. So we're not actually far from a retest of the high there. And yeah, seeing the next high low. And I like how silver's moving. It's still pretty corrective with the way it's having this pullback, which is a nice sign that the market is just likely just squeeze, and then boom. Um, and that boom is what I'm looking to take advantage of. So in my book, silver's looking really good. I'm liking the high lows, daily charts looking good. Again, the key thing is the break of this resistance here. Really strong level in the market. We've broken through that. That's to our backs now. So we're using that to our advantage to buy from. And hopefully we can ride that momentum back into the high there at 34.852. So going forward with gold and silver, sure, if gold does pull back, fantastic, but I just don't see it happening. And silver, I do see happening. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I'd imagine you're looking at a similar opportunity to me as well in silver. Annie, what is up? Um, Good question. So you're asking if you've identified an area, price is very bullish, but it doesn't quite come back and retest the level. Well, um, not every single trade is going to do that, of course. Not every single trade is going to do that. And of course, you'll find the answers to that in your back testing. I mean, for example, I've been pretty unlucky with gold in the past 2, 3 pullbacks. I was looking for the retest of the high here, didn't get the pullback. Looking for the retest of the high there, didn't get the pullback. And now I'm looking for the retest of the high here. Of course, I may still get the pullback, but it's probably looking unlikely there as well. So, in some conditions when the market is very bullish, like you just mentioned, like in a very strong bullish trend, the pullback's a lot shallower. You know, you only get bigger pullbacks when the market is a little bit less bullish, trend maybe starting to come to an end. So you get bigger pullbacks and you get some really nice retests. When the market is bullish like this, sometimes you do get the retest, but sometimes the market just flies and leaves you in the dust kind of thing. In that situation, it's just not an opportunity for you because trading is pretty black and white. It's either there's a setup for you to take or not. In this case, with no retest there, no retest there, and so far no retest there, there is no trade for me to take. If you're looking to take trades in these conditions, you're going to have to come up with a different strategy behind that. Maybe looking at moving average bounces or looking at taking trades off Fibonacci levels and looking for other sets of confluences. For example, I'm pretty sure we did get a nice pullback into the 50 there. So yeah, if you're looking to take trades around the 50, maybe you got an entry for this swing. I'm not too sure you would have got an entry for this swing though, from the low to the high. Yeah, that one didn't even come into the 50. So what I'm saying is that if you are looking for to take advantage of those really strong bullish trends where we don't have other pullbacks, you want to look for other strategies. If you're looking for the retest of some major support areas, that's a good strategy, but it plays better off when the market isn't trending so heavily. Like for example, if we look at some of the yen pairs, like if I go to euro yen, these were really nice trends where the break and retest worked really well from 2022 into 2023 because the trend here wasn't so bullish, but it was having frequent pullbacks, giving us retests and continuing in that direction. It's not just like absolutely exploding to the upside and just leaving us in the dust every time. Pretty frequent pullbacks, and there's definitely opportunities for retests here. What we're seeing right now with gold, for example, is just the market that is just a little bit too bullish to get your pullbacks. And that's just the reality of it. If you want to get into the trades here, you're going to have to come up with a different plan with that. Like I said, looking at maybe fib, moving average bounces. You're going to have to look at the market a little bit differently. And again, in my position here, it's not the end of the world because I trade a wide range of markets. So yes, I'm missing out on some of these retests on gold, but I'm still looking at dollar pairs. I'm still looking at the yen pairs. I'm looking at some of the cross pairs as well, CHF pairs. So there's a wide range of markets for me to trade. So if I don't get the setup here on on gold, sorry, yeah, unfortunate for me, but there's another market right around the corner. Just like silver, for example, doesn't look like I'll get the setup here on gold, but silver, the chance of me getting the retest I'm looking at on the major support level is pretty high. So if gold wants to leave me in the dust, let it do that. Silver's likely to give me a chance here. Still, it might not, but I know that it's not far away. All you need to see is a bit of downside, and there's an opportunity for me there as well. So because I trade out a lot of pairs, I'm fine with missing a few opportunities here and there because there's always another opportunity around the corner. But like I said, if you really want to take those trades, you're going to have to look at the market a little bit differently for shallow pullbacks because you're not always going to get the break and retest. For some reason the silver chart doesn't load. Oh wow. 32,600 looks good. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking at. 32.6 around there. 32.6, 32.5. I'm looking for the buy. All right, no problem, Will. Take care, my man. Have a good one. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at for silver as well. Very bullish market. Not trying to overcomplicate it. Not far away from a retest. So if I can see a lovely rejection of that area, I'll look for some entries. Now, I'm not bothered about trading gold because silver and gold is basically the same thing. So if gold doesn't want to give the pullback to me to get the retest, that's completely fine. How is the XY doing? Okay, so it's testing the low of the channel. So that's the key thing. I'm waiting for price to break. If we can see price break that, then I'm expecting a lot of downside there in the next few days for USD. Let me quickly go through the news this week because I know we got NFP on Friday. I want to see what we've got in between. Okay, so Monday, not much really on Monday. Had some news early this morning, but not much really this afternoon. Tomorrow, in terms of USD goods trade balance, okay, jolts at 3 p.m. That could maybe cause a bit of movement. Nothing crazy though. Wednesday, early hours, we got CPI for Aussie. That could be big there for Aussie. I'd watch out for that if you're looking to trade Aussie, especially overnight. And we've got quite a lot of Germany news, which could affect Euro. GDP growth rate for Euro as well. USD, not much there on Wednesday. And Thursday, inflation rate for Euro. Need to keep an eye on that because I'm trading Euro USD as well. And then we got core PCE for USD as well in the afternoon. Again, not major news, but can move the market a bit. And then Friday, yeah, NFP. So really, NFP is the big one. There's some news events here and there which could move the market, which you probably do want to keep an eye on. But NFP is the big one on Friday. So yeah, definitely want to keep an eye on that. And that might make me think twice about entering silver, to be honest, because especially with the swing moves I'm looking for. They're not going to play out overnight in one day. They're going to take a few days to get going. So if I do get into silver, I am basically backing USD weakness twice over. So that might make me think about getting to think twice about getting to silver. But I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So far, happy with your USD, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, now we'll take a look at some of the other crosses, because I know some other people are interested in them. As I've said, I haven't been so much, apart from pound NZD. Out of the crosses, pound NZD looks by far the best because the price action looks very clean. The direction looks pretty obvious. Broken through a pretty significant level down the left there as well. So if you can keep that momentum up, get a pullback, retest the high, I'll be more than happy to find some entries and then take it back into that high there at 2.19. So yeah, in terms of the crosses, pound NZD by far the best and the only one on my watch list at the moment right now. But looking at some of its partners in crime, so we had a look at USD earlier. I said not a big fan of that one. Possibly could see more upside as well and follow the direction of pound NZD, but not really looking to take any trades there. Possibly a break me test of the high, but not feeling it much. Ooh, I meant to write Euro AUD. In terms of Euro Aussie, yeah, this one again not good as well. You can see I've drawn the box there around price. Overall, just been moving sideways really, so not a big fan of the price action. Until I start to see a bit of a trend there on the higher time frames, I'm not really going to follow any momentum there. Again, looks like we are breaking through some resistance. Looks like we are breaking through some resistance here on the left, and we're seeing some upside there. But again, not really convinced, not looking to follow that momentum at all because the conditions aren't really optimal. I don't really have a bias for this one, really, to be honest. If we're going to start breaking through the low, great. Then I can start looking at some pullbacks and some opportunities like that. But because the market's been so sideways, the bias is kind of just looking to play the range, which is buy low and sell high. If you can come back and do some resistance up here, that would be great. Can take some shorts off that high there. But otherwise, I wouldn't really look to touch price much, to be honest with you, Aussie. And pound Aussie looks okay as well. It's doing similar things to pound NZD in terms of pushing to the upside. We are seeing some of the consecutive high lows. So 1, 2, 3 over there. So the market is steadily pushing to the upside ever so slowly. It does look like we're breaking through some resistance, but equally we're just coming into some resistance right now. So I'll be watching out for that. But if we're going to break through this, there are some targets for us to aim for back at the high here at 1.99. There is some room for us to push into if we are going to see a break of 1.96. So if we can see a break of that, then potentially I could look to add pound Aussie to the watch list as well. It needs to be a solid break though for me to look into that and then look for something like this as well, which of course is a very similar opportunity to pound NZD, and I might just focus on that one really. But I do like it. If it does break through this 1.97 level, I would be looking at pushing to 1.995 there. So yeah, pound Aussie looks like upside. There's potential for upside, but just needs some confirmation above the high. Pound NZD looks like it's already raring to go. Just need to see a bit of a pullback there first. And then hopefully you can get some entries there and take it back into 2.19. Probably by next week, to be honest, but hopefully get some pullbacks this week. In terms of some of the CAD pairs, yeah, I haven't really been looking to trade the CAD pairs for a while. Not really interested in the price action with them. I have spoken a lot about Aussie CAD. I do think there's a nice move to the downside to be had for Aussie CAD. If I do kind of zoom out there a little bit, I'm looking for a push back into the high here, which is 0.905. You can see overall we're moving this ascending channel. We've got the higher lows there. I think there's a good chance after kind of testing the high, the market's likely going to push back into support and go and test the lower end of the channel there as well, maybe for another bounce, or maybe we get a breakout. We'll wait and see. But in the meantime, if we can break through this 4-hour support over here. I do like the sells underneath that. Let's say if you can see a strong break of the low, pullbacks, retest the high, and then a move down. That looks to me like a nice little opportunity on the lower time frames. If I do get the trend line out, which we've been talking a lot about this stream, that looks like a nice opportunity there on a retest, lower high, something like that, and then a push right back down. So yeah, with Aussie CAD, I do think there's room to the downside here. Break and retest is the key thing you're looking for, though. If you don't get that, then the opportunity is not really there. Otherwise, we're just hanging on to support, of course. Strong break, retest, lower high, kind of continuing this momentum here from the previous couple of weeks. And then nice little short to the downside. So that's kind of what I like there for Aussie CAD. New Zealand CAD, I'm looking for a similar thing as well, but there's just a bit more space to operate with Aussie CAD. So that's why I prefer that one a little bit more. But again, if I look at the channel prices working with, very corrective, ascending to the upside. It does look like price is slowly getting ready for a push back down into the lower end of that channel again. So again, we could take advantage of some shorts there in that direction. But in terms of finding a nice trade and a nice entry, you do want to see price go and break through support here, drop through, pull back, retest, and then take a short. Something like that could look good with the lower highs there as well. So yeah, NZD CAD shorts look good. Back to the low end of the channel. Wait for the break and retest and find some lower highs there. And then possibly we can talk about a big swing back to the upside or a break of the channel. And then we can discuss the push to the low as we discussed earlier this stream. When price does break through those trend lines and we see strong breaks, I do expect us to come back into the origin, which for me is around 0.794, basically 0.795, we'll call it. And a push to that low makes a lot of sense. But we'll make that judgment when we get there. But for now, looking at a bit more downside. And then you got EuroCAD and PoundCAD, and EuroCAD still basically in consolidation for me. So yeah, not much to say about that. Solid support. Prices held onto it pretty well. We've kind of got these steady lower highs the market's been putting in. High over there, second high there, third. Yeah, could see a fourth one. Price struggles, could see another push back down again. So there's that possibility, but not really the conditions which I want to be looking to trade in, to be honest. So that's why I'm kind of staying away from EuroCAD. But there could be some nice shorts there. So if you are looking to trade EuroCAD, I'll keep an eye on the sells around 1.505 as we approach that trend line there. Because in fairness, we have been pretty consistent with all of these lower highs there. So to me, another push back into that level, see some rejection. I would fancy another push back into 1.49. And then we can discuss what the next move is, if we get a breakout or we just turn around again. But in terms of PoundCAD, that has been a nice little trend, to be fair. Pretty consistent with all the high lows. This morning looking pretty bullish again there too. And to me, it looks like we're probably going to get a push back into the high there at 1.80945. So to me, very, very bullish stuff with PoundCAD. Seeing some really nice higher lows there. You can see the trend line working pretty well. Respect the trend line on a few occasions, respect the resistance, turn support on a few occasions as well. So again, with this one, the ship has definitely sailed. The train has left the station. If you're not already long off one of these pullbacks here, then you're not really looking to take any buys now. That ship has sailed. Probably going to end up back at resistance at some point. That's probably the move I'm expecting this week. Maybe we get there and turn around, or maybe we start to consolidate. Yeah, that's up to PoundCAD. But in terms of a nice setup, taking those higher lows is definitely the play. But now that we've kind of left that in the dust a little bit, looking for us to push back into resistance. We'll see what we can get up there. I do think eventually PoundCAD is going to have a big change in trends, maybe a big reversal. But I wouldn't want to be looking to short directly at the high to find that out, because there's a strong chance we just break through and see another higher high. So if price can start to break to the downside, break the trend line, break through some key support there, that to me is a big sign that, okay, the market's likely to turn around, and then we can start discussing some shorts. And then there's a lot of targets you can start to aim for: the low here, the low there. If it's a really big reversal, even the lows down there, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that when we get to that. But there's a lot of room for us to fall into, because if I do go to the monthly chart really quickly, I've mentioned this before, but we're coming into a massive level of resistance in the monthly chart. And if we are going to hold this and see some downside, I think there's a strong case we could even move all the way back down to 1.6, really, back into that low there, because we've been ranging in this area before, kind of like a big fake out here. Now we're back at the high of the range. I wouldn't be surprised if we make a move like that, but yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it and we start to see price break structure. But for now, that's not quite there. So I'm going to leave pound CAD alone. There's no opportunity to trade just yet. But yeah, at the moment, it looks like we're pretty likely to push back into that high. And in terms of the CHF pairs, it looks like Aussie CHF has just slowly been falling to the downside. So it's been a very difficult pair to hold on to. I was trading this a couple of weeks back. I was eventually taken out at break even, but it has been a slow push to the downside. And I took the trade on the 1st of October. It's the 28th today, and we're only trading down there as well. So that's the thing with CHF pairs. They can give you some really nice trade, which is why I like to trade them. Well, I don't necessarily look to trade them. If there's a good opportunity there, I will take the trade. But I'd rather trade like a USD pair or a yen pair over a CHF pair. But if there's a good trade, I always look to take it. And they can give you some nice moves. Just look at the higher time frames. There are big swings there to be taken advantage of. I expect another big swing back to the low. It's just it can take its time. And, this kind of cluster of candlesticks doesn't look like a big consolidation to the naked eye. But this is a daily chart. And if you count the candles there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Arguably 13 candlesticks there on the daily chart over across that's almost 3 weeks of just seeing sideways. And especially when you're selling, you're paying swap as well. So it's not even cost effective either. But we are seeing a breakout finally. And I do think after this retest there of that low, there's now a good chance that Aussie CHF is going to make a push back to this area, which is some major support around 0.56 basically. So yeah, I'm looking forward to CHF see some downside. Overall, I'm pretty bearish on the CHF markets because, again, looking at the big trend, where we headed to the downside, I do think eventually we'll take out this wick low, which we were so close doing last time. So I think there's a big reason I think there's a big reason for Aussie CHF to keep falling, because there's going to be a lot of liquidity underneath the low, especially with this wick there. So I do think price has a big reason to keep pushing lower and eventually take out that low and this low there too. So very bearish on the CHF. Looking at, for example, Euro CHF, I'm bearish on that one too. Again, difficult to find some entries to trade it because we're not too far away from major support. I'm pretty sure this is our all-time low for Aussie CHF, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. It is our all-time low. So again, wouldn't really want to be selling into that level. If I can sell towards it, great, but we're not too far away from that support level now. And because we've just been consolidating for a long time now, it just becomes difficult to take the trade. And I do think we'll probably just slowly roll over. Pretty consistent with the lower highs here. But yeah, I'm expecting us to drop. Just difficult to find a trade and take advantage of that. Pound CHF, this one I haven't been a big fan of. It's quite choppy. Again, if I expand to the higher time frames, yes, we've been pretty bearish and falling, but as of late, we've kind of just been consolidating. So I haven't really been a big fan of it, to be honest, because that has been basically arranged for me. And I wouldn't want to be looking to get involved when the market is moving like this in these conditions. Sure, we might see a move like this, but I can find better trades elsewhere on markets which are a lot more friendlier, which are trending better and have clearer direction. because who's to say we don't push up first and then come back down? It's a little bit up in the air with pound CHF. So that one I'm not going to speak too much on. And then of course you got your lovely NZD CHF was actually trading at major support, and it looks like it's trying to break through. So this one might actually be ready for a really big move. I'm not quite sold on the breakout just yet, but it's hinting at it, which to me is very, very which is big, because if we do go and break through that support level, we're trading at 0.518, which is this support low here. If we go and break through that, then this is the next major level of support for us to trade towards, which is around 0.505. So if you do go and break through that, I do think the floodgates open and we see a big move to the downside for New Zealand CHF. So keeping a really close eye on this low, because if that does break, I think it's bye-bye and CHF, and I want to push back to the lows. And these are all-time lows as well. Let's not get that confused. If I zoom out, these are all-time lows. That's all the way going back to 1980. So these are all-time lows for New Zealand CHF. So a break of that support, to me, just takes us back into the lows there. So that's it makes me even more bearish there for New Zealand CHF. And finally, CAD CHF, which again I'm bearish on, looking for a push into the low, but in terms of trading it, look at the range there, very difficult to do much with that. Sure, you want to buy high and sell low, but in terms of trading and taking advantage of momentum, it's difficult to do it in these conditions because of how choppy the market has been. But I do think there's a good chance we do break lower, similar to Euro CHF, similar to New Zealand CHF as well. We're likely to break lower and just continue that trend. But finding a setup, I just don't see one, which is why they're not on my watch list at the moment until things change quickly. Yeah, they're not going to be on my watch list, unfortunately. But yeah, if we go have a look at the indices, we touched on S&P briefly at some point early in the stream. Again, for that one, I just expect us to keep pushing back into the high. If we look at US 30 was a little bit, I don't know what happened US 30, because we were very bearish last Friday, whereas NAS and S&P were not very bullish, but I think NAS was pretty bullish, but they were bullish. So something definitely happened for US 30 to drop really hard like it did. Again, it doesn't really change much in terms of the grand scheme of things, in terms of the direction. I'm still looking at this bearish move as a pullback for us to keep pushing higher up. It just means we might be having a deeper pullback on our hands, deeper than expected anyway. And this is some major support, which looks like if we were to get to, I would like some buys from there. There we go. So I would like some buys from there for a push to the upside, and a push right back into the high there at 43,284, which is the all-time high. So still expecting a push back to the all-time high. Still looking for us to continue that direction. However, we might see a bit more downside first. So yeah, if we can get to that level, see how price reacts, see some rejection, that to me looks like a nice place for a higher low. Put some stop losses above, and then look for that swing. If you have a quick look at NAS 100 as well, I think that one's actually not too far away from the high. Yeah, it's not too far away. Saw some new highs past that point last week. But again, still expecting us to push back into the all-time high there, 2,700. This one's still pushing to the upside with the higher lows. As we can see there, higher low, higher low, higher low. So the market's still pushing really nicely to the upside, and we're still looking pretty bullish there. So I'm not seeing an opportunity to get involved unless we have another pullback again. But I wouldn't be surprised if we just keep pushing. But overall for the indices, I'm pretty bullish here. I do think we'll push back to 2,700 and probably beyond that as well. But again, that's the condition of the market. It's trending. We're seeing really nice higher highs and higher lows. And looking at your conditions is very, very important in terms of gauging when's the best time to take a trade, when's the best time to stay on the sidelines, and simply just understanding the market conditions very, very well will keep you out on a lot of unnecessary losers and allow you to take advantage of your strategy to its full potential. Because if you do have a trending strategy, for example, you're looking at buying pullbacks or selling pullbacks and riding momentum, if you go take a look at, let's say, Euro CHF, for example, which I know is a market that has been very, very choppy, you're not going to find too many nice pullbacks in these conditions as of late. Sure, over here, you probably find some nice pullbacks. So the market's been trending really well. But if you keep that same strategy that you used, say, for example, in these conditions here where you're selling the pullbacks there, of course, it eventually did change directions, as all trends would do eventually. But you would have made some nice percentage on these moves here, especially on the moves there as well, because the conditions were favorable. The market was bleeding a lot during these times, July, and there were really some nice pullbacks. If you look to take the same trades here, it wouldn't play out well. If you go look at pound CHF, for example, horrendous price action there as well. If you look to trade the same type of pullbacks, it's not going to play out too often, as the market just keeps moving sideways. So understanding your conditions well will keep you out of unnecessary losers and allow you to really push your strategy to its potential, because you're trading in the right time to do so. And if you are going to trade range markets, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to trade a strategy that is optimal for ranging markets. And again, if I'm looking to trade range markets, there's only one way which I'll look to do that, is effectively look to buy low and I'm in the wrong area. Buy low and sell high. Try and buy lower than other buyers and try and sell higher than other sellers. And a market that is ranging on the higher time frames, and doing a nice example of that is Euro Aussie. If you can wait for price to push back to the lows or push back to the highs and trying to enter a little bit later than other sellers or a little bit later than other buyers, then you're just at an optimal place for the market. Because essentially, if you're trading a range, there's only two things the market's going to do. It's either going to break out or reject the high or the low. So if we are ranging, for example, like this, and the market then pushes back to the high, it's either we're going to break out of this and the market's going to start trending, or we're going to respect it and come back down. You could argue there's a third thing the market could do, which is fake out, which is it might fake the high and then come back inside the range and push down. But that's still, in my eyes, a rejection, just a bigger one. And sure, that my rejection might knock your trade and it might take you out for a loss. But if it is a big fake out and the market comes back into the same range, then you look to re-enter. And again, if you have a positive risk reward in your trade, then you'd make back your loss and plus some more. So the whole kind of, between the two trades, between the loss you took and the re-entry after the fake out, you still walk away with a profit. So it still becomes a profitable setup to take. So it's either the market's going to reject the high or break through. So if we are going to break out, then you are looking for your trending opportunities, of course, looking for your pullbacks, retest, and you're looking to ride that momentum. But if you have the mentality that, okay, I'm going to keep shorting and keep buying at the low of the range and keep selling the high of the range until that breakout happens, then every time the market does push to the high, you're looking for your sells. Every time the market does push to the low, you're looking for your buys, and so on and so forth. So really keep an eye on that when you're looking at ranges. And remember, if you're looking for pullbacks, don't be looking for pullbacks in the middle of a range. Say the market's pushed there and it's looking like it's pulling back to maybe continue. It might be doing that, but I can tell you from experience that it's going to mess around a lot, give you some weird wicks. It might push halfway. So you don't want to waste your time in the middle of a range if you're trading a trending strategy. And that's same here with Euro Aussie as well. If you're looking for longs, best place to do it is down low. If you're looking for buys, best place to do it is up high. And we've had a look at some ranges. We've had a look at CAD CHF as well. This is a really kind of choppy range. You do not want to be messing around in the middle of that. Again, if you're trading trending strategies, that is the worst place to be looking for pullbacks, directly in the middle of all of that. I would stay away. 100% stay away. Yeah, I agree, everyone. It's definitely all about discount as well. Yeah, when you go to any market in London, you try and haggle low price, low enough, you take it then. That's actually so true. That's so true. Looking at the at trading that way is because you kind of forget about that, and you've mentioned that before as well, which is kind of you get caught up for a lot of the technical patterns and indicators. But at the end of the day, you're just looking to buy at a reasonable price, and sell at a reasonable price as well. Um, so if you can get the market to move a little bit lower, test the better area, it's a no-brainer. Not that the market can't go any lower, of course. It's not 100%. But you can haggle in London, but maybe price. Someone got it cheaper at a different store than you, bought the same item. You paid £5, but another person paid £4.50. So it's not like the market can't go lower, but you're buying at a good price, or you're starting to buy at good prices where the market's likely to push high at some point. Um, and that's the same for range as well. You're looking to buy at the best prices. And the beauty about the range is if you can work out the confinements of the range, the high and the low, then you pretty much know where you want to be buying and selling. Down here is where you want to be looking to buy, and up there is where you want to look to sell. And in the middle, you kind of want to just let price do its thing, because it's very chaotic and it's difficult to work out exactly what price next move will be. So that's why I kind of stay away from ranges myself. But yeah, in terms of my watch list, so as I said, looking at Euro USD, managing that trade from last week. In terms of other markets I'm looking at, so other USD pairs I'm already looking at. Pound USD, I do think there's room for the upside. Aussie dollar likewise as well. Dollar CAD, I think there's room for the downside too, but because I'm trading Euro, I'm just not going to be looking at those markets. In terms of other dollar pairs which I would trade, is gold and silver. So looking at some pullbacks on those guys. As I said, 2680 looks good. Just not too sure we'll get the pullback for that. But silver, a lot more likely. Looking for some entries around 32.6, maybe 32.5. Looking for some buys there, take it back into the high. Pound NZD, really like the longs here on a pullback. If you can get a retest of around 2.15. Again, as I suggested before, really confident break down the daily chart. If you can get a pullback into this area, that would be fantastic. Look for a retest, buys there, and then take it back into the high at 2.189. That's the idea I have for pound NZD. And that's pretty much it, to be fair, in terms of the top. Actually, CGFJ, I forgot about that one as well. And Swiss yen longs too. If we can get a pullback for CHF JPY back down into 174, looking for some longs there for push to the upside. And those pairs are what I'm concentrated at. Other yen pairs, I'm waiting for a bit more confirmation. Other dollar pairs, not really looking to trade. No other cross pair I'm looking at. No CAD pair, no CHF pair really. Yeah. So Euro USD longs, gold and silver longs, pound NZD longs, and CHF JPY longs. But again, that can change potentially as the week goes on. If I see some big break of structures, big breakouts, maybe a respectable level, because there's some markets I'm looking at which have potential, but they're still waiting for some confirmation. And that confirmation could happen at any point during this week, and then it could be a part of my watch list. But at the moment, those are the pairs that look good. No problem, Tony Gold. Happy to help. Is anyone in any trades at the moment? I know some people mentioned they're also in some Euro USD longs as well, looking for some weakness on the dollar. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Euro. Nice candle close this morning. Haven't really seen momentum from then onwards. Again, DXY is going to be very important. Will have an important role to play. So again, breaking out that channel is the key thing I'm looking for. I do think we'll get that, to be honest. I do think we'll see that break to the downside, but we have to stay patient. And there's a possibility we could push one more time to the upside before the break as well. But yeah, if momentum doesn't sustain here for Euro, I might close the trade early, because with Euro longs here, I'm going against all of this momentum. We've been falling for the past 4 weeks. Now we've hit a level where I've got involved. So I'm effectively trying to call the bottom of that move and see some upside. So if momentum from this bullish candle here in the 4 hour doesn't start to continue, then I will look to probably call it a day with the euro trade. It's not like trends in my favor and there's a lot of momentum in my favor, so I can be a little bit more generous with the room I'm giving it and give it a bit more time to play out, because I'm going against all that momentum there. You could kick bearish at any point there too. So if this doesn't sustain and start to see some nice candlestick closures, I may cut the trade early. But silver, though, if I can get the silver, though, I'll be happy just to give that all the room that it needs to move. Of course, I'll still have my stop loss at a reasonable price, but I wouldn't be so quick to maybe micromanage the trade because momentum's in my direction. We just recently had a really big break to the upside, so I can be a bit more aggressive with this trade. Euro, on the other hand, not so much. You need to be careful with that one. Okay, close all 4 of your positions. Okay. Can't remember. I remember you mentioned you were in a position last week. Can't remember which one it was. Okay, you're still waiting for the clear 4 hour break and then the pullback. And if not, then no trade. Yeah, I mean, those are your rules, so you're going to have to respect them. How is the moving average looking? Okay, so kind of just testing the moving average there a little bit. We tested it on Friday. Yeah, that was Friday, and we came back down from that. So yeah, it would be nice to see the market break that 50 and start to trend above it. That would be a nice sign that, okay, we probably are going to get the pullback now. For euro, how's the 50 looking in regards to the dollar? Yeah, same kind of thing, just trading above it. So breaking below it would be nice. But for me, if you can break the channel, I think that's going to be the catalyst to get us going. We're not too far away from the 50 though. We're not too far away. If you see another strong candle closure on the 4 hour, yeah, that's a break. That will be a break. Okay, euro, yen, gold. Okay, that was it. You were in gold, I remember. New Zealand dollar, UJ, and a few others, although okay. Okay, all to take profit. Nice, well done. Some nice moves there. I guess the 50 break, moving back to using the 50 break as a strategy, is playing out well. Yeah, if it's not broken, don't fix it. It comes all the way back to that point. But yeah, we're not too far away from the 50 break there. Hopefully we see it in the next couple of candle closures. Like I said, if momentum doesn't sustain here, I may close the trade early because I don't want to see the trend here continue. If I see signs of the trend's continuing, I may just get out the way of it a bit. Because although dollar has hit a level where, yes, we can see some retracement, as I've mentioned on the weekly chart, we come back into such a big level where we could see the market reject it and see some downside. But equally, we can still see price break this to the upside and push back into this high there as well. So there is no law that we have to respect this level and fall over. We could of course push to the next one. So I don't want to put myself in a situation where momentum is starting to kick back bullish again and we're likely to get the break. I want to move away from that train, move out of the way of that train, and then reanalyze and go again. But if we are going to find resistance here, and it looks like we are with that double top there, then let's start breaking out of this trend line and seeing some lower lows and lower highs, and then I can start to trail that euro long position. No, that's supposed to everything true. I mean, if you post before you take the trade and after trade, then it's not really showing off. It's just you posting an update on your trade, really, to be honest. Because if you post like the setup, you're looking to take like For example, I'm looking to short GJ, and then you show the setup before you get in, and then you of course show it after. Then that's not really bragging. Um, so it's only if like you just post all the winners, then it's like you're not providing much value to the chat. Um, you're just saying, okay, I won this trade. So that doesn't really provide any value for anyone. But if you post like, okay, I'm about to get into a short here, I posted the before and after, then it's actually helping other people out as well, because they can see how you analyze and how you got to that conclusion as well. Yeah, exactly. No value for everyone there as well. And that's really what I want to do with the Discord as well, especially with that trade section in Discord, is get people sharing ideas, and of course learning from other people as well, seeing how people took their wins. As you said, doesn't provide much value just to show wins. It's like, okay, you got a nice trade there, but what was the reason behind the trade? And then someone can, of course, learn from that. But to be honest, got a good group of people on the Discord as well. Really hadn't had many issues, to be fair, with the Discord. So nice little community there is brewing up. So I'm definitely glad with that. And guys, if you're not in the Discord as well, make sure you go check out the Discord. The link to that is in the description below. It's also pinned to the top of the chat, so you can't miss it. But as I just mentioned, you can join the Discord, share ideas, what charts you're looking at. I'm there as well. And of course, pretty much most people you see in the stream will be there too, sharing ideas, what they're looking at. So if you're interested, feel free to check it out and join the link. Of course, there's some discount opportunities for elevating traders. If you're looking to buy a challenge, you can find some discount codes there too. Yeah, computer will be bad in terms of showing it. I mean, phone's not bad as well. Phone's not bad. Only thing with a phone is that you might have to write a little bit as what you're looking at, because just the screenshot of the analysis of your chart might leave people confused. But phone's not be all end all. If you add like a little comment of what you're looking at, I think that's sufficient as well. But yeah, for me, computer is just the best way to analyze, especially the way I do it as well. I know you're a bit more indicator based, so you don't necessarily need a big open space to draw stuff up. As long as you can see your indicators fine, then you're good. But for me, I've always been favorable of having a computer. Like graffiti. But yeah, I'm always a big fan of having a desktop. So yeah, that does bring us to the end of the stream. It looks like we are seeing some momentum now, so hopefully that can sustain there. Looks like the 4 hour kind of just flipped bullish. Hopefully that can keep pushing there. But yeah, guys, we have come to the end of the stream, so I do really appreciate everyone who tuned in, asked questions. Even if you didn't ask any questions and you just sat for the ride, I appreciate you too. And if you can make sure that you do leave a like on the stream before you do leave, it does really help out. And of course, subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't done so already. It does really help out. But guys, before you leave, make sure you do check out the Elevate Trades Discord, as I just mentioned, completely free to join. So if you want to check it out, the link to that is at the top of the chat. And if you are looking to purchase a challenge with Elevating Traders, you can find the discount opportunities for that in the Discord for 50% off as well to celebrate the launch. So if you are looking for that, guys, make sure you go head over to the Discord there. But guys, really appreciate everyone tuning in. Hope everyone has a great Monday. Like I said, I will be live again every day this weekday, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So make sure you're free to pop in. But guys, have a great Monday, and I'll catch you all in the next one.